Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Wealthy Lightworker. I am so excited to bring you Aislinn Walton. Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here today.
Oh, it's such a pleasure having you. So Aislinn is a women's success and lifestyle coach. You blend business strategy and quantum launches, and I'm excited to share with the audience what that means. And your passion, pleasure, and play are your principles. Love that. That's so fun. So I can't wait to get started. Before we do, let's go ahead and take a nice deep breath together. All right, so now that we're in the moment with my awesome signs, we're going to get started. So the name of our topic today is Quantum Success and through Strategy and Spirit. So before we jump into that, though, I would love to just hear your story. How did you get into coaching? When did you know that you were a light worker? And how did you find yourself on this path?
Yes. Okay. So thank you so much for having me, first and foremost. Okay. My story. Let's condense this, right? So I think that a lot of people entering into the coaching industry are highly sensitive people. They're intuitive, they're empathic. The word empath at this point is being it's mainstream. A lot of people know that, intuition is something that we all have within us. So ever since I was tiny, I was super intuitive. I've always been that unrealistic dreamer. And, originally I wanted to be a vet because that was just, animals. Intuitive people love animals. And then it just evolved from there. So I went to college for art and design. I mean, it was totally not like psychology or counseling or anything, but I graduated from college feeling this need to immerse myself in yoga, because yoga had always been like my savior. It was that thing that really allowed me to relax, to let go, to feel embodied as opposed to just all up in my head, right? So I immersed myself in a few years of yoga teacher training and became 500 plus hours certified. And in that training, even though it wasn't life coaching, it was basically the same thing, where you're healing people, you're sharing your energy with people, you're moving your body, and you're illuminating the importance of mindset, right? And how by controlling your thoughts and tuning into your emotions, you just get to help, yourself and the world at the same time. So I think, it's funny. I said this the other day to someone else. I was like, I don't think anyone is a little girl and they grow up and they're just like, I'm going to be a life coach, right? They're not just like, this is what I want to do with my life.
I've actually said that myself, so that's funny.
Yeah. It's so true. And all of a sudden you find yourself here and you're there and wow, you look back and you're like, how did this happen? So this has been so recent. I mean, I started my business last July. It's fairly blurry. I say it's 7/7/17 just because I really love the number. Right? It's cool. So from that, that was like officially when I became a coach, but I just dove into different programs without an agenda. I was like, hey, I'm going to do this digital course program. Hey, I'll do this money mindset program. Hey, I'll do this. I entered masterminds, and all of a sudden I was like, hold up, I have some cool shit to offer the world. I should probably just start doing this and I can make money off of this, and how cool and liberating. So here we are, like 8 months after the official start date, really. And it just took off.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
So 8 months in and you're already, where you are, which is incredible. And so what would you attribute some of that to? Like, what would you say has helped it take off the way that it did?
My insane stubbornness to do what I want. To not be dulled down by all of the shoulds, right? I think that so many people, preaching right here, don't get bogged down by the shoulds. I think that it's an epidemic right now where people are just like settling, and they just feel so stuck in the security and the comfort that they're just, what did I say the other day? I came up with a great quote and I'm like, damn, how did I, am I allowed to swear on this? I don't know, but I said that your attachment to comfort and stability is preventing you from reaching that level of living an extraordinary life. And like I said, I've always been that unrealistic dreamer type. And originally, I got a little shamed for it. I was misunderstood for it. And now I'm totally like rocking that part of who I am. So I think that I had a few things in play there. It was my stubbornness to succeed in the way that I knew I wanted to, that was completely not in alignment with our society's, day-to-day routines.
Yes.
I hated making like an hourly amount of money. Just didn't really resonate with me. I'm like, $20 an hour is great, but it's so unsustainable, right? I was like, I really feel this deep desire to share this life-changing work, because if it's working for me and I'm happy and I'm consistently optimistic, people think I'm crazy for that sometimes, but like, what if I shared this, turn this into something that just is this ripple effect out, other people can benefit this and live their life in a way that's aligned with freedom and liberation and passion and purpose. And like, who doesn't want that? So, I also just didn't give up. I think that we all have that that fear of failure. We're just like, it's not working. You just do not stop, right? You just keep going.
Yes.
And I've had so many nights where I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Right? Like, this is crazy. This isn't working, and then at this point, I have learned that those really low points come right before that quantum launch forward, which, it's kind of cool to recognize that, but you still, even in those moments, you're still just like immersed in it, and it's hard to see forward and see past it.
Yes. Oh, and that's such an important thing, I think, to share. It's great to know that, of course, you're going to get to the quantum leap and things are going to shift, but it's also okay to be in that moment of like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah. We're human. Yes. We're still a human being. We are light body, we're a healer. We are human being. We are women. Like, we get to be all of it. And it's not like one is worse or better than the other.
That's such a good point. It's beautiful. So let's talk about what that means. Like, what does a quantum shift look like? What does a quantum leap look like? What does that mean for people who maybe have never heard the word, aren't familiar with it, or even those who have? Like, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So we've all probably heard of quantum physics, which is, the energetics and the universal law. So in incorporating that into your business, this is where it gets really fun, I think. This is where you start to play with collapsing timelines and condensing, time and space and how we perceive it in our brains. And you start to realize that you make it all happen based on your belief system. And of course, strategy comes in, and that's why I love strategy and spirit. But when you can really just find this sense of trust in the universe and in your ability to live the life that you want by these universal laws, per se, you can kind of condense your reality. So when some people make $20,000 a year, they can, all of a sudden, if they align themselves with this quantum mindset, they can make $20,000 in a month or something, right? Or in a short amount of time, because time is irrelevant, honestly. I think that people focus too much on the ladder and the steps and the forward process over and over and over, and the routine. And, this takes a lot of hard work, and it has to take this amount of years or this amount of time. And yes, being a master at something, of course, takes, yes, magical money, Tim. I love those signs. It's so fun. When you can detach yourself from all of those shoulds, all of those realities, and normalize, if you can normalize quantum in your life, whether that's a quantum leap, a quantum launch, quantum flight, quantum rise, like I've heard all of them, and it's just people are taking off with it. And that's what I really allowed into my life. So, I went from making $2,000 to $3,000 a month back in early 2017. That was my normal, right? That's a lot of people's normal. And then all of a sudden I started thinking outside of what my normal was. What else is possible? Well, that question is so much more powerful than a lot of people give credit to. What else is possible? And, what else is possible, even though I haven't experienced it yet, right? And then from there, just opening yourself up to that potential and that possibility brings in a whole new realm of what is possible for you. And I know that sounds really woo-woo. But, oh my gosh, there's so much truth to it. Because I've experienced it, and I don't like to teach things that I haven't been through myself, right? You have to integrate it, you have to process it, you have to be in it always for yourself first, be the student of the lesson first. And so I experienced this semi-gradually, but here we are, last July, I was like investing a few $1,000s in myself for programs and all this. And then all of a sudden here I am making $30K a month. I mean, it is, I don't know what the percentage is, that just the difference in what is possible for me now, like on a mathematical scale, but it's just so fun to immerse yourself in that playfulness. And that's quite feminine, I think, actually, to be able to think that way.
Yeah, it so is. And let's talk about that a little bit more, because I think a lot of our viewers are women, and even those who aren't, or who are men, they need to tap into their feminine side. And I feel like that's something that you really do a lot of. You talk about your Yoni Eggs, which we'll talk about in a moment. But talk a little bit about what you see, like the divine feminine's role in your business, and how you tap into that.
Yeah. So this is so fun for me to talk about, because for so long I was on birth control. I was just like feminine, masculine, whatever. Like, I incorporated it into my yoga practice. But beyond that, I really didn't have a sense of how to bring that into love, into business, into all the other realms. So feminine energy is, there's an empowered feminine energy, and then there's a disempowered feminine energy. Same with empowered masculine, disempowered masculine. And if empowered feminine, she's the queen. She is super sure of herself. She's confident. She can do whatever she puts her mind to. She, has a sense of trust in the masculine. And this is not gender, by the way. This has nothing to do with gender. It's simply energy. We have both within us. And when you incorporate a balance and you understand how to work with these energies, you really start to amplify where your zone of genius is. And your zone of genius is where, you're making a bunch of money, you're happy, you're in passion, you're in flow, and things come easily to you, right? There's a whole lot of ease and flow, and not a whole lot of hustle, which can be really fun. So this all came into play because I actually went to it was like what was it called? It was like Awakening Your Inner Goddess, something like this. It was a yoga teacher training in Costa Rica, where I used to live. And it really opened me up to the energy and the potency of femininity and being in your goddess, and allowing yourself to explore what is, quote, unrealistic for you. And in doing that, and also embodying that, right? Like really bringing that into my body, the way that I, just getting into some deeper topics, but like menstruation and the importance of releasing and rebirthing myself over and over and over, and just becoming who I want to become by being a woman, and embracing that feminine energy I really think has amplified my potential for sure. And I think that it can really help a lot of other people to notice where they're acting from that resistance space, kind of like the disempowered masculine or the disempowered feminine, where there is passive aggression, there is violence, there is, a lot of negative stuff that comes up when there's like the sense of competition. But instead, it's just becoming your highest, best, most illuminated, most passionate self, and being financially compensated for that, which who doesn't want that, right? Yeah. So I hope that makes sense, because we can all tap in. It's just a tool, right? Knowing that your feminine energy can help you, knowing that your masculine energy can help you, right? Like I'm just finishing today, I'm finishing a launch, and it's important for me to be in that structure, to be in the masculine, to be really, present and grounded and in my foundation, to be able to help people, right? The feminine is like all about art and flow and creativity and dance and movement. She's the creative force like of the universe.
Yes.
But she needs the masculine to be able to exist. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No, it makes perfect sense. And I love what you talk about with strategy and spirit, because in a way that's the masculine feminine. We have to have the systems, the strategies, the structure in place in order to infuse it with the playfulness and the love and the fun and the sexiness and all of that the woman brings.
Yes.
But without both, you end up being, that unrealistic dreamer, like you said before, who's just off skipping around, lost in, her own head. And I can completely relate to that.
Exactly. I have these archetypes in my business where, there's like the clingy girlfriend that comes out when I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to reach my quota. Oh my God, I'm not going to make the income goal. Oh my God, the people aren't going to show up. Like,
yes.
Stop not trusting. How can I be the empowered, version of myself and allow everything to happen as it's going to happen? And of course, have goals, but it's all about that balance. So yeah, you're exactly right.
I love that. I love that. I love and it's such an important thing to notice, like how we do one thing is how we do everything, right? And so when you talk about like being this clingy girlfriend in your business, and we all do it in our relationships, right? We have moments where we're like, you don't even love me. And it's literally like, we have to love ourselves so that we don't come from that place. So we come from that empowered feminine that you were talking about.
Yes.
Wow. So let's talk about, go ahead.
No, I'm done. I would keep going.
No, that's why you're here. It's amazing. You have so much to share. It's awesome. It's so cool. So with that, we were talking about, the divine feminine. Let's talk about how, I know that you're really passionate about Yoni Eggs. Can we talk about that a little bit? What is that exactly?
Yeah, so it's all interconnected. I have Yoni Eggs right here just because I'm on video a lot and I show them to people.
Yep.
So these are Yoni Eggs. They're super beautifully, highly quality crafted crystals, jade and rose quartz. So this tunes into what we were just talking about, because for me, it's essential in my business to prioritize self-care, to prioritize for time for me to be in my body and to simply exist with no agendas, right? With no attachment to outcome, no expectation, just whether that is getting a massage, whether that is, embracing my sexuality and dancing or going to yoga and not needing to do it for any particular reason, but to just be present there. So Yoni Eggs really can be a phenomenal tool for women to awaken that within themselves. So the prioritizing of self-care, and also I'm a huge advocate of talking about how your sexual energy is your creative energy, and you can use them, you can channel them, you can direct it, you can create a flow that is, you're directing it to a certain outcome or goal or manifestation. So Yoni Eggs, you use this crystal. Don't worry, these have not been used. You put them up your vagina. So it helps to strengthen your pelvic floor. On a physical level, it provides weight, right? So you probably heard of Kegels before. This gives you something to hold on to and to actually practice, a weight bearing exercise for your pelvic floor muscles. And that has so many healing effects on the womb, on your libido, on your ability to have a healthy menstrual cycle, just by focusing your energy there, bringing blood flow there, tuning your breath to this space. It can really help on so many different levels. Wow. Incontinence, after pregnancy. But beyond all of that, I love the energetic stuff, where if you just meditate with a Yoni Egg for a little while, you can start to build that energy where you start to feel turned on in your own body, by life, by your business. Like, I don't think it just applies to sex.
Yes.
It applies to everything. Like, the universe is unity, right? Divine union. And that means the opposites coming together, forming this unity. And that is what I really think can propel us forward into that quantum space.
And just getting turned on by your life. I love that. You know,
Yeah.
it's why not?
Why not? Right? Like, who wouldn't choose that?
But there's so much shame and there's so much like, you know, heaviness from our society. So it's so refreshing to have a voice to this, you know, a different viewpoint that we can all start to practice something and to have that physical representation and reminder that, you know, there's something beautiful and divine within our own bodies that we need to cultivate and love.
Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. I love how you just said that. 100%.
That's amazing. So this is so fun. So let's talk a little bit more about, you know, when we're talking about specifically manifesting money into our lives, how have you, what struggles have you overcome? And what were kind of the key points for you to really to shift out of those patterns?
Yeah. So I was stuck in feeling just fine for a long time. I think a lot of people, if they're listening to this, can really resonate with just being fine. Like, okay, cool. I've got my necessities covered. You know, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Everything's fine. I've got my basics covered.
Yes.
But, you know, what we were saying previously, like what else is possible? A lot of people don't even allow themselves to think that way because they don't think it is possible. You know, and you can't get to a space that you don't believe is possible. You can't arrive at a destination if you don't think, you know, you can get there. Maybe miraculously you might, but it can help to have that intention. So I started to normalize higher numbers. I started to normalize, you know, just that dreaming or thinking and visualizing and meditating. You know, what would it feel like for me to be making this amount of money per month? How would I spend that money? What would I dedicate, you know, each dollar to, right?
Yes.
And I didn't really understand that fully until I invested $3,500 in a mastermind last summer. And I had never spent that amount of money at one time before in my life. I mean, now that's I can do that, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I still think that we all have these, my coach, she talks about how we have this thermostat, right? And we have a thermostat that feels comfy, cozy, nice and warm. And it takes a lot of intention and action and mindset work to elevate that thermostat to be, you know, higher. So by spending that money on myself, I'm not saying this is the only way to do it, but by investing that money in myself and trusting myself that it was up to me now to create results from that and to show up and be present and to take the inspired action from that, then, you know, that was something that really propelled me into like, what if and what else is possible? Because if I just did that for myself, then, you know, I'm going to commit myself 150% to making this happen. And the whole thing is, you know, everyone talks about this. You don't need to know the how. You don't need to know the how. But 2 weeks or so, maybe even a week after that, I got this miraculous email from a studio that I teach at for yoga. And they were like, we have a private yoga client coming in. Can someone, you know, take this client? I was like, sure, I will. She ended up being the most wonderful blessing at that time in my life because she's a UNICEF board member. She is super high vibe. She's a phenomenal philanthropist. She lives like in this castle on this hill, and I just got to experience luxury every day teaching her yoga. A week after I had just invested the biggest thing in myself ever, here she shows up exemplifying what else is possible. It was totally crazy. She gave me just so much love and wisdom and time, and I got paid for it all abundantly. And from there, I think that, you know, you just keep elevating, normalizing bigger, until all of a sudden, you know, you're at that huge mark where you're doing the 4K days, 5K days. All of a sudden, you're making the 30K mark per month, right? And you have PayPal, like every day, all day. And it's so exciting because you know, it's like, you know, that it feels fulfilling for you, but also it's for a greater purpose beyond you making money from it, right?
And I love that you said that because it normalizes it for the rest of us watching, you know, like we can envision what it's like to get that notification again and again and again, like you've got this money, this person paid you. And then to also connect that to your highest passion and purpose, that's I mean, that is why we're doing what we're doing. And I think it's so unfortunate because a lot of people don't see that it's okay to be highly compensated for the work that you love to do. And that's why we're here doing this series and just illuminating this truth that we don't have to play small.
No, that thing.
That's not sexy. That is not sexy. We could do better than that. And I'm so grateful to have had you, Aislinn. Thank you. Let's talk a little bit about your free gift that you're offering. We talked about Yoni Eggs. So
Totally. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, you can see that money, sexuality, passion, playfulness, like it's all so intertwined, right? So, my free gift for anyone watching today is a free Yoni Egg guide. So I created a beginner's manual. It's a free Yoni Egg manual. It's all the 101 work on, how to do it, what to do, how to cleanse the egg, all about that practice. So I'm really excited about that. It's jam-packed, full of good stuff.
Can I be real for a second?
Please.
My immediate thought is like, what if you can't get it out again?
Number one question. That is the number one question. And my eggs that I have, they are drilled. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, there's a hole you can put like a string through it.
So yeah, if you want to, if you have that fear, especially for people who have experienced trauma in this area, they have a lot of the fear. So you don't want to ever push that to a point where it feels super uncomfortable and scary. So organic, non-waxed, non-flavored floss, you can get that at a health food store. But yeah, drilled eggs are great to start out with, just so you can pull it out if you need to. Usually you can push it out just fine.
Yeah, good to know. I've played with garlic for yeast infections before, and that was really interesting.
Very interesting.
All right, I love it. I could honestly talk with you all day. And hopefully one day I'll get a chance to do that off recording. But again, thank you so much for taking the time today and for sharing your wisdom with us. I am so excited for you. I'm going to be cheering you on as you continue to share this work with the world. So thank you.
Thank you so much. This was a blast. Yeah, I could do this for all day as well, but spare the audience.
Yes.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Bye.